Saying I yield back.
Ms. Escobar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to our witnesses, thank you all for being here. And Mr. Rosenberg, I want to add my own condolences to you. I'm a mother of two, and I can't imagine anything happening to either of my children. So I stand with my colleagues who've provided their condolences to you. You know, I do want to say for people watching this hearing, this is my 5th year in Congress, and I've seen a really alarming trend that's become increasingly more alarming every year that I've been in Congress. And that trend is the desire and effort to paint immigrants as criminals. And the reason for that is to essentially dehumanize immigrants. And that allows for a furthering of xenophobic rhetoric and xenophobic policies and anti-immigrant policies as well. And there is a serious consequence to engaging that way. There is a serious consequence to painting immigrants as dangerous or threatening and making the country feel fearful of them. And that is that there is a promotion of hate of immigrants. I represent El Paso, Texas. And last week, a killer who drove 10 hours from East Texas to El Paso, which is a border community that has a quarter of our population that is immigrant born and is also one of the safest communities in the United States of America. An individual, a domestic terrorist, a white nationalist, drove over 10 hours to my community, and he confessed that he did that in order to slaughter Mexicans and immigrants because of the invasion. And that is a word that is frequently used by my colleagues on the other side of the aisle and by politicians all across this country who want to promote that xenophobia. He came to my community, walked into a busy Walmart where there were families shopping for school supplies, where there were kids raising money for their sports teams, where there were senior citizens waiting to buy their prescription medication. And he walked in with an assault-style weapon, and he slaughtered 23 people. He left dozens injured. And years later, we're about to next month will be another terrible anniversary. My community still lives with deep trauma and profound pain. He was not an undocumented immigrant, he was a US citizen. And US citizens are carrying out massacres all across the country with automatic style weapons, and I don't see the same urgency to have that conversation from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. And I will say, representing the border and living on the border and being a 3rd-generation border resident, having raised both my children, both of whom are 4th-generation border residents on the border, there's nobody who wants a well-managed, safe border more than those of us who live there. But the only way to do it is if Republicans work with Democrats in a bipartisan manner to update laws that haven't been updated in almost 40 years. And Mr. Bautista, one of my colleagues decided to try to badger you into trying to get you to acknowledge I don't know what. And unfortunately, this is the same deflection I see over and over again from colleagues who love to point the finger at other people about immigration laws, but colleagues who refuse to look in the mirror to say, it's my job and my obligation to update outdated immigration laws. So I will tell all of you here, it is our job to address this situation, and a key way to address this and to create safer communities is by opening up legal pathways. But unfortunately, we are not going to see that from our colleagues by and large on the other side of the aisle, and instead we're going to see the same thing, which is a shrinking of legal pathways, a refusal to modernize outdated laws, and that is precisely what creates a deeply broken system. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.